Greetings my little custlers. We're going to do some 14th century baking. This is a recipe from 14th century Egypt and it's Nuhud al Adra. Probably said that completely wrong, but basically that translates as virgin's breasts. Yes, we're going to get our hands on some breasts, virgin breasts. Now for that you're going to want 200 grams of icing sugar, 200 grams of clarified butter, 200 grams of almond flour and 200 grams of samid. Now we don't really know what samid is, but it's almost certainly some sort of wheat product or wheat flour. So the closest is likely to be like semolina flour. So I've got 200 grams of that. Now the original recipe just says knead sugar, almonds, samid and clarified butter equal parts. So we've done that bit. And make them like breasts and arrange them on a brass tray. Put it in the bread oven until done and take it out. It comes out excellently. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our two flours and I'm going to put them in a bigger bowl. This is going to be the bowl we're going to do most of our main mixing in, but the first thing we want to do is just get these flours mixed together, and then I need to weigh out my 200 grams of clarified butter. Now if it's not melted then you'll need it a bit melted. Okay, and we're going to initially whisk it into that icing sugar. Well, we're going to stir it first because otherwise we get bloody clouds everywhere, and then we're going to whisk it up to try and get it sort of almost frothy. So I'm just going to weigh 200 grams of that butter into there, and I'm going to turn the camera off because I'll probably make a bloody mess. So as it happens, I didn't make a mess at all. So I'm just going to initially get that flour, or ice sugar, sorry, in so it's not going to go everywhere, and then scrape that off of there. I'm just going to now use my whisk just to whisk it up. So I wouldn't exactly say it goes frothy, but what we're going to do is gradually add in that flour, and it's best if we do that by hand rather than using a mixer now. And we're now just going to combine, so put some in there, all of that, get it all well mixed together. You want your oven on at about 180. Now it says a bread oven. What you've got to be careful of is this will burn quite quickly or quite easily, so we don't necessarily want it quite as hot as a bread oven might be. And then I've got some baking trays with my silicone mats there. Now we're saying use like a semolina flour. You want a nice fine grained semolina flour. Normal wheat flour, it can tend to go a bit mushy and not hold its shape so well. Hence the semolina is what we suspect is the closest to samid. So just going to make sure I've got all of that well combined, and then I'm going to get my hands in there and give it another good mixing, and then we can start forming our breasts. We're going to take about a walnut size piece, so flicking it everywhere, and it is quite difficult to roll this because it is very dry, and then basically you want to shape it supposedly into a breast, but I think it's a bit big. I think I might make it a bit smaller. And then we're going to lay them on the tray, and then like I say we're going to put it into a preheated oven. I think, to be honest, just try and shape it as best you can. And then, like I say, that will now go into the oven and bake at 180 for around 12 to 15 minutes until they go a nice pale gold colour. Like I say, we don't want to burn them. Okay, if we cook them too high a temperature, what will happen is the insides won't be cooked and the outsides obviously will start browning too much. So I'm just going to fill my tray with virgin's breasts. So that's them out the oven. I gave them, well, getting on for 20 minutes to be honest, because they weren't darkening too much, and I'm obviously concerned that they do cook in the middle. So all I'm going to do now is just transfer them onto the wire rack. Now you can notice that they've started to crack, so we've got some cracked breasts here. But I think that's just the way it is with that mixture. So we're going to get these cooling. I ain't going to taste one of this hot. So these still a little bit warm, but I thought I'm going to taste one anyway. Very, very dry, but nice and sweet. I think without that sugar, without that sweetness, they would be, I wouldn't say unpleasant, but just, you know, what's the point? Because they're just, like I say, quite dry. They're not like a cake. They're more like a biscuit. I was tempted to give them a little sprinkle of icing sugar on the top, but to be honest, the amount of icing sugar in there, the sweetness is just excuse me, more than sufficient, and I certainly don't think sprinkling with a bit of ice sugar is going to make much difference, other than perhaps make them a bit more attractive. But texture wise, I say it's like biscuit. It's like dry cake bordering on biscuit. Lovely, nice and sweet, not overly so. But there you go. Nuhud al Adra, virgin's breasts.